Welcome to my channel, Rise Up with Steve. Please hit like, subscribe, and don't forget to share with your friends. She reached a moment in her life where clarity hit harder than pain. For a long time, she was patient. She waited, she adjusted, she explained herself, and she made excuses for someone who kept her on standby. She wasn't asking for perfection, just priority. But instead, she was treated like something optional. Something that could be chosen today and ignored tomorrow. And one day something inside her changed. She realized that being an option slowly kills your self-respect. It teaches you to shrink, to stay quiet, to accept less than you deserve just to keep someone around. She understood that love doesn't leave you confused and commitment doesn't come with conditions that only benefit one side. If someone truly values you, they don't risk losing you. So she stopped chasing clarity from someone who thrived on uncertainty. Refusing to be an option wasn't arrogance, it was self-respect. It wasn't bitterness, it was growth. She learned that if someone can't choose her fully, they don't deserve access to her at all. She chose peace over potential, dignity over drama, and self-worth over attachment. And here's the powerful part. The moment she walked away, she didn't lose anything real. What she lost was inconsistency, emotional exhaustion, and false hope. What she gained was strength, confidence, and a deeper understanding of her own value. She refused to beg for attention, refused to compete for love, and refused to stay where she was only convenient. Because a woman who knows her worth doesn't need to convince anyone to see it. She reached a point where silence began to speak louder than words. For a long time, she had been patient, telling herself that understanding was love and waiting was loyalty. She accepted delays, unanswered messages, mixed signals, and promises that never seemed to arrive on time. Deep down, she felt it, but she kept ignoring the quiet voice reminding her that love was never meant to feel uncertain. She wasn't asking for perfection. She wasn't demanding more than was fair. All she wanted was to be chosen, clearly and consistently. Yet she kept finding herself standing in the waiting room of someone else's life, hoping her turn would finally come. Being treated like an option slowly chipped away at her confidence. Every time she made excuses for behavior that hurt her, she taught herself that her feelings were less important. Every time she stayed silent to keep the peace, she betrayed her own truth. She learned how easy it is to lose yourself when you're trying too hard to hold on to someone who isn't holding on to you with the same strength. Love should feel secure, not like a test you're constantly failing no matter how hard you try. There came a moment when exhaustion replaced hope. She grew tired of guessing, tired of waiting, tired of overthinking every word and every action. She realized that if someone truly wanted her, she wouldn't be confused about her place in their life. Real affection doesn't leave you wondering where you stand. Real commitment doesn't show up only when it's convenient. That realization hurt, but it also set her free. Pain has a way of sharpening your vision, and for the first time she saw the situation for what it really was. She understood that refusing to be an option didn't mean she was cold or unkind. It meant she finally respected herself enough to draw a line. She stopped explaining her worth to someone who benefited from not understanding it. She stopped chasing conversations that led nowhere. She stopped hoping that potential would someday turn into reality. She chose herself, even though it felt unfamiliar and uncomfortable at first. Walking away wasn't easy. Letting go never is. There were moments when loneliness tried to convince her she had made a mistake. There were nights when memories came back stronger than her resolve. But with time, she noticed something powerful happening within her. The anxiety began to fade. The constant questioning stopped. The heavy feeling in her chest slowly lifted. Peace replaced chaos, and that peace felt like a reward she had earned through courage. She realized that her presence was never something to be earned by others, it was something to be valued. Anyone who truly saw her wouldn't risk losing her through indecision or neglect. She learned that love doesn't require competition, comparison, or constant reassurance. When someone wants you, they show it through effort, consistency, and respect. Anything less is a distraction dressed up as affection. By refusing to be an option, she reclaimed her power. She no longer waited to be chosen because she had already chosen herself. She understood that her time, her energy, and her heart were valuable, and not everyone deserved access to them. That decision changed how she moved through the world. She stood taller, spoke clearer, and trusted herself more deeply. In the end, she didn't lose love. She lost uncertainty. She lost excuses. She lost the habit of settling. What she gained was something far greater: self-worth, emotional freedom, and the quiet confidence of a woman who knows she will never again accept half love. For a long time, she told herself that patience was proof of love. She believed that if she waited a little longer, understood a little more, and asked for a little less, things would eventually change. She convinced herself that mixed signals were just misunderstandings and the inconsistency was temporary. Deep inside, she felt the ache of being uncertain, but she silenced it because she didn't want to appear demanding or difficult. She wanted to be easy to love, even if that meant making herself smaller. Slowly, being treated like an option began to affect the way she saw herself. She started questioning her worth, wondering why she wasn't enough to be chosen fully. She replayed conversations in her head, searching for mistakes that could explain the distance. She blamed herself for the lack of effort on the other side, believing that if she just tried harder, things would finally feel secure. But love is not something you earn by exhausting yourself, and she was learning that lesson the hard way. There were moments when clarity almost reached her, but fear pushed it away. Fear of being alone. Fear of starting over, fear of letting go of someone she had invested so much emotion in. Familiar pain felt safer than the unknown, so she stayed even when staying meant sacrificing her peace. She stayed even when her needs were met with silence or half-hearted responses. Each time she stayed, she delayed her own healing. One day, the weight of that emotional waiting became heavier than the fear of leaving. She realized that love should not make you feel invisible. It should not make you question your importance. If someone truly values you, they don't keep you guessing. They don't make you feel like a backup plan. That realization didn't arrive gently. It arrived through disappointment, through tears, through the quiet acceptance that she deserved more than uncertainty. Choosing to refuse being an option wasn't a dramatic moment. It was a quiet decision made in solitude. She stopped reaching out first. She stopped justifying behavior that hurt her. She stopped settling for words without actions. It wasn't revenge or pride, it was self-preservation. She understood that staying where she wasn't fully wanted was slowly draining her spirit. Walking away felt like loss at first. She mourned the version of the future she had imagined, the hope she had carried for so long. Letting go of potential can hurt more than letting go of reality. But as days passed, she noticed how much lighter she felt. The constant anxiety faded. The urge to check her phone disappeared. Her mind grew quieter, and in that quiet, she found herself again. She learned that being chosen should never feel like a reward for endurance. Love is supposed to feel safe, not like something you have to compete for. By refusing to be an option, she reclaimed her dignity and set a standard for how she would be treated moving forward. She no longer begged for clarity or consistency, she required it. In choosing herself, she didn't become bitter. She became wiser. She became a woman who understands that real love shows up fully or not at all. And she promised herself that she would never again stay where she had to question her place. She didn't wake up one day suddenly strong. Strength came after long nights of doubt, after countless moments of waiting for effort that never arrived. For a long time, she believed love meant endurance. She thought that if she stayed patient, loyal, and understanding, she would eventually be chosen completely. She ignored the signs because hope can be louder than truth when the heart is involved. She told herself that inconsistency was normal and that being kept at a distance was just part of the process. Over time, that way of thinking began to change her. She became quieter about her needs and louder in her excuses for someone else's behavior. She adjusted her expectations lower and lower, convincing herself that wanting clarity was asking for too much. She felt the sting of being available whenever it was convenient for them, while her own time and emotions were taken for granted. Slowly, she started losing confidence, not because she lacked worth, but because she was giving her energy to someone who didn't know how to value it. There were moments when she questioned everything. She wondered why she felt so anxious in something that was supposed to feel like love. She wondered why she felt alone even when she wasn't technically by herself. Those questions stayed with her, lingering in the background, waiting for her to be brave enough to answer them honestly. Deep down, she knew that love should never make you feel optional. The turning point didn't come with a fight or a dramatic goodbye. It came with exhaustion. She grew tired of hoping, tired of explaining herself, tired of accepting half effort. She realized that someone who truly wants you doesn't leave you in a constant state of uncertainty. Real interest is consistent. Real commitment doesn't disappear when it becomes inconvenient. That understanding was painful, but it also gave her clarity she could no longer ignore. Refusing to be an option meant choosing self-respect over attachment. It meant accepting the reality of the situation instead of the potential she had imagined. She stopped chasing attention and started protecting her peace. She stopped waiting for someone else to decide her value and began deciding it for herself. That choice required courage because walking away meant facing loneliness, at least for a while. At first, the silence felt heavy. She missed the familiarity, even though it had hurt her. But with time, that silence became healing. Her thoughts slowed down. The constant overthinking stopped. She felt her confidence return, not all at once, but in small, steady moments. She remembered who she was before she started doubting herself. She understood then that being chosen should never feel uncertain. Love is not about proving your worth or competing for someone's attention. When someone truly sees you, they don't risk losing you. By refusing to be an option, she didn't lose love. She removed confusion from her life. She became a woman who knows that anything less than full commitment is simply not enough for her heart. She used to believe that love was something you waited for, something that arrived only after patience and sacrifice. She told herself that staying quiet was maturity and understanding meant accepting whatever was given. When effort came in pieces, she gathered them carefully, hoping they would someday form something whole. She ignored the emptiness she felt when days passed without clarity, convincing herself that wanting more was selfish. Deep inside, she felt unsettled, but she stayed because leaving felt like giving up. Being treated like an option didn't happen all at once. It happened slowly, in small moments that were easy to excuse. A delayed reply here, a canceled plan there, promises that were never followed by action. Each time, she chose understanding over honesty with herself. She told herself that love requires compromise, but she didn't realize she was the only one compromising. Over time, she became more careful with her words, afraid that expressing her needs would push him further away. She began to lose the version of herself that once felt confident and secure. She questioned whether she was asking for too much or expecting too much. The truth was simple, yet hard to accept. She was asking the wrong person. Love should not make you feel like you're constantly auditioning for a role in someone's life. Love should not make you feel replaceable. These thoughts came to her often, especially in moments of silence when there were no distractions left. Eventually, exhaustion set in. Not physical exhaustion, but emotional fatigue. She was tired of waiting, tired of guessing, tired of hoping that tomorrow would be different. She realized that uncertainty had become a pattern, not a phase. That realization hurt deeply, but it also gave her the clarity she needed. She understood that if someone truly wanted her, she would never feel like an option. Refusing to be an option required strength she didn't know she had. It meant letting go of the comfort of familiarity and facing the fear of being alone. She stopped chasing explanations and started listening to actions. She chose dignity over attachment, even though her heart resisted at first. Walking away wasn't about pride. It was about protecting her self-worth. In the quiet that followed, she found healing. Without the constant confusion, her mind became clearer. She felt lighter, freer, and more at peace. She began to trust herself again and understood that love should feel safe, consistent, and mutual. By choosing not to settle, she chose growth. She chose a future where she would never again accept half love or conditional commitment. For a long time, she believed that love required patience above all else. She thought that waiting was a sign of loyalty, and that understanding meant accepting whatever came her way. When effort was inconsistent, she told herself it was temporary. When clarity was missing, she convinced herself it would arrive in time. Deep down, there was a quiet discomfort she couldn't ignore. But she pushed it aside because she didn't want to lose what she hoped could become something real. Being treated like an option slowly changed the way she saw herself. She began measuring her worth by how much attention she received. On good days, when she was noticed, she felt relief. On quiet days, she felt invisible. That emotional roller coaster became exhausting, yet she stayed because she believed that leaving would mean failure. She feared starting over more than she feared being uncertain, and that fear kept her stuck. She often found herself questioning her own needs. She wondered if wanting consistency was asking for too much. She wondered if expecting commitment made her unreasonable. But love should never make you doubt your right to be valued. Love should not feel like something you have to compete for. These realizations came slowly through moments of loneliness that made her reflect on how unbalanced everything had become. The shift happened when she finally listened to what her emotions had been trying to tell her all along. She recognized that confusion was not love and potential was not a promise. Someone who truly wants you does not leave you guessing. They do not make you feel replaceable. Accepting this truth was painful, but it also gave her strength she didn't know she had. Refusing to be an option meant choosing herself in a way she never had before. It meant walking away from uncertainty and protecting her peace. She stopped justifying behavior that hurt her and stopped hoping for change that never came. The decision wasn't loud or dramatic, it was quiet and firm. It was the moment she decided that her heart deserved consistency, not convenience. After she walked away, there was emptiness at first. The absence of constant waiting felt strange, but with time, that emptiness turned into freedom. She felt her confidence return and her self-respect grow stronger. She realized that by refusing to settle, she had opened the door to a life where love would never again feel optional. She once believed that love was something you earned by being patient, understanding, and endlessly forgiving. She thought that if she stayed long enough, proved herself enough, and asked for less, she would eventually be chosen without hesitation. Whenever effort was inconsistent, she told herself it was just a phase. Whenever clarity was missing, she convinced herself that time would fix it. That belief kept her waiting far longer than she should have. Being treated like an option didn't break her all at once. It happened gradually through small disappointments that accumulated over time. Plans were made and then canceled. Messages were answered when it was convenient. Promises were spoken easily but followed by silence. She accepted it because she didn't want to seem demanding, even though every part of her felt the imbalance. Slowly, she began to doubt herself, wondering if she was asking for too much when all she wanted was to be chosen fully. She tried to adapt, thinking that adjusting her expectations would protect her heart. Instead, it only made her feel smaller. She silenced her needs to avoid conflict and ignored her intuition to keep the connection alive. The more she gave, the less she felt seen. Love started to feel heavy, filled with anxiety and uncertainty, and she questioned why something meant to bring comfort left her feeling alone. The realization came quietly, not through an argument or a dramatic ending, but through exhaustion. She was tired of waiting for consistency and tired of hoping for change that never arrived. She understood that love should not feel like a competition or a guessing game. If someone truly values you, they do not keep you in a state of uncertainty. That truth hurt, but it also freed her. Refusing to be an option meant choosing honesty over illusion. It meant accepting reality instead of clinging to potential. She stopped waiting to be chosen and chose herself instead. Walking away required courage because it meant facing loneliness and uncertainty on her own terms, rather than within a relationship that left her unseen. With time, the silence became healing. Without constant confusion, her mind grew calm. She felt her confidence return and her self-respect strengthen. She learned that love is meant to feel secure, consistent, and mutual. By refusing to be an option, she reclaimed her worth and promised herself she would never again settle for anything less than being chosen completely.